Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 1. Judge not yet, lest ye be judged, right? Wasn't Richardson really down on player participation in the protests and kind of holier than thou? And now he's selling the team because he wants to be out of the spotlight because of multiple counts of alleged bad behavior. So that's where my mind goes. It is interesting to me that the most pious of the owners, the ones who really felt very principled about certain kinds of behavior, he was among them, and now he's selling the team to get out from under scrutiny, it seems to me. I mean, he's going to make a lot of money, too. Get out from under scrutiny because of multiple accusations of his bad behavior.
Well, what jumps out of my mind is this. I mean, that's a valid point, Max. I would tell you that it's about dollars and cents. And obviously, when you purchase the team, you get 48% of the team. The other 52% goes to Charlotte business folks. And you purchased the team for $206 million, and now it's worth, according to Forbes magazine, in excess of $2.3 billion. When you reach an agreement with the city where $87.5 million, you get public funds to renovate the stadium and what have you, and you agree to a like a 6-year hard tether agreement where the team ends up staying in Carolina through next season. It expires after next season. You know, business has something to do with this as well, because what we have to remember is that this is the Bible Belt. This is Charlotte, North Carolina. And there's a certain level of behavior that they simply don't tolerate. And so when you bring up the point that you just brought up, Max, it's incredibly valid because you know if you're Richardson, you're a Carolinian. You're from this, you're of this community. You know what its standards are. And somehow, some way, you didn't live up to it. What I found, Ryan, incredibly alarming to me is that if it were not for Sports Illustrated coming out with its report yesterday, we would not have known exactly what these allegations entailed in terms of sexual harassment, racial slurs, work misconduct. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And that's where it really rakes my nerves, because we can put 20, 22, 25-year-old young men on Front Street. We can sit up there and put their pictures up on screens like mugshots, talking about their transgressions based on allegations, and they are convicted in a court of public opinion before we learn any facts. But when it came to Mr. Richardson, what happened if it were not for Sports Illustrated, we didn't know what the hell happened. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what specifically he was being accused of. We didn't know about the 4 settled cases for exorbitant amount of dollars because of his behavior. And all we heard is that there was an ongoing investigation that the NFL was taking over, and there was going to be an independent investigative arm that would look into the matter. But we didn't know what. He's 81 years old. He's a billionaire. He's self-righteous and pious, as Max pointed out, okay? He's in the Bible Belt, owning a team in the Bible Belt, but we would shield him from the world knowing exactly what he was being accused of. But if it were 20-year-old young men, okay, we would have had them plastered all over the place with the allegations convicting them in a court of public opinion. That's what resonates with me, Ryan.
You guys make excellent points. And Max saying that he was pious and self-righteous when it came to the protest, it's not far enough, Max. Anybody who has been in a room with him, has talked negotiations with him, understands how he sees it. When I always talk about the separation of workers or of labor and ownership in the NFL, he was a big part of that. The racial slurs are not surprising. If you listen to him, he would be in those meetings. He would get around players and use words and put you in the boy category, everything short of actually using those racial slurs in those type of negotiations, in those types of settings. So to hear these things coming out of Carolina, it's not surprising to anyone who has spent any amount of time with him. But what it shows, again, is men in power, people who have a certain status, mistreating those who both work for them and who are around them, women being treated as pieces of property. And I think it's finally time, and I'm glad the Sports Illustrated article came out so you can know about these transgressions, so we can continue to talk about being better, and that somebody at the highest level of the NFL is going to have to answer for these actions. And he's tucking his tail and running. It's not about just the money. He's tucking his tail and running and figuring, you know what, I'm going to get out of the spotlight before it gets too bright on me. It's cowardly, but it's what I expect from a man who has treated people the way that he does.
Ryan,
to say that he might,
you make
Ryan,
a good,
I need you to tell. Hold on. Ryan, I need you to tell people how you know that, because people need to understand how you would know exactly what you're saying.
Because I was part of the NFLPA and executive board during the CBA negotiations. I was elected to the executive board after the negotiations were final, and there was every night that there was a meeting or we were in front of these people, there was a call that went out to everyone, and you would hear the specific things said in these meetings. And Jerry Jones led it from a financial standpoint. Jerry Richardson led it from a you work for us standpoint. We run this show standpoint. We are the owners. You are the labor standpoint. And so when you hear these things coming out of Carolina, he's not ashamed of how he treated people. He's not ashamed of the way he's talked to both women, both minorities. He's ashamed that it got out. So he's not upset and wants to change his behavior. He wants to duck what comes, the critique, the judgment that comes after these things are made public.